Welcome to Key West, the Conch Republic, home to refugees and snowbirds, rum making, salvaging shipwrecks, and fishing in crystal clear waters. A dot in the middle of the ocean at the end of the 2,369-mile road called US 1. This is 1431 Duncan Street, nestled in a quiet neighborhood far from the crowded bars and clanging trolleys. It was the home of Tennessee Williams, one of America's foremost playwrights, who called the island his home for over 40 years. It's believed that he wrote the final draft of A Streetcar Named Desire in 1947 while staying at La Concha Hotel on Duval Street. In 1950, he bought the house on Duncan Street and joined the prominent literary movement that resulted in Key West being recognized as the cultural and historical location it is today. As one of the greatest American playwrights of the 20th century, his works reached worldwide audiences in the 1950s when his plays were adapted into motion pictures. They remain relevant today as his plays continue to be performed, recontextualized, revived, and studied internationally. Key West is also the home to the Tennessee Williams Key West Museum, an historic and educational exhibit where visitors can learn about Williams's literary accomplishments and colorful life. The museum holds an extensive collection of photographs, first edition plays and books, rare magazine and newspaper articles, videos, and even a typewriter used by the author while writing here. Each March, the museum celebrates Tennessee Williams' birthday with a month-long celebration. Today, we invite you to share it with Tandy Cronin, classically trained actor, member of Poetry Theater, and the daughter of one of the most distinguished acting couples in the world, Jessica Tandy and Hume Cronin. They both figure prominently in the life of Tennessee Williams. Among other things, Jessica originated the role of Blanche Dubois on Broadway in A Streetcar Named Desire. Today, Tandy will talk about her parents, their work with Williams, and she will read some of the playwright's poetry to help us celebrate what would have been his 110th birthday. Today, Tandy talks Tennessee. Good evening, and thanks for being here. Tonight's conversation is part of the annual monthly celebration of Tennessee Williams' birthday and is sponsored by the Tennessee Williams Key West Museum. So I thought, why don't we start off with you telling us about your mother's inhabiting Blanche for the first time and your father and how it happened.
Well, my father made things happen. He was a go-getter. He was quite extroverted. My mother was kind of the opposite. She was covered and retiring. And my feeling about her always was that she waited for the phone to ring. And if it hadn't been her marriage to Hume Cronin, there's all kinds of things that she never would have done because she wasn't that kind of person that made things happen. Once she got a project, of course, she did extraordinary things with it. But my father he wrote a memoir. It's called A Terrible Liar. Of course, he's not. But in this, he actually writes about how he came across Tennessee Williams. And let me just read you what he wrote, because he describes this so much better than I could.
And he came across Tennessee Williams before Tennessee Williams was Tennessee Williams.
Oh, when Tennessee Williams was totally unknown. Right. And I'm not quite sure what year this is. I'm not even sure that he may not even have met my mother yet. Whom actually, he didn't meet in Hollywood. They got married once they moved out to Hollywood. But he actually met her backstage in a play that she did this several times. She emigrated during the war, I think probably to escape the Blitz. She had my half-sister, Susan. Right. Like Paddington Bear, she would have had to have sent Susie to live with a stranger in the country.
Right.
And she had a brother who was in the diplomatic service in New York. So she came across, and she had a job with a British play that was being presented on Broadway. She did that several times. She came over to do a British play on Broadway, or to tour it in Canada or something.
We're going to leave with one more poem. It's a gorgeous setting that Tennessee Williams wrote. It's called The Eyes, and we're going to leave the program tonight with your recitation, your reading of the poem, The Eyes. And we'll say goodnight and thank you to you so much, Tandy. What a pleasure.
Thank you.
The eyes. The eyes are last to go out. They remain long after the face has disappeared regretfully into the tissue that it is made of. The tongue says goodbye when the eyes have a lingering silence, for they are the searchers last to abandon the search, the ones that remain where the drowned have been washed ashore, after the lantern's staying, not saying goodbye. The eyes have no faith in that too accessible language. For them, no occasion is simple enough for a word to justify it. Existence in time, not only their own but ancestral, encloses all moments in four walls of mirrors. Closed, they are waiting. Open, they're also waiting. They are acquainted, but they have forgotten the name of their acquaintance. Youth is their uneasy bird, and shadows clearer than light pass through them at times. For waters are not more changeable under skies, nor stones under rapids. The eyes may be steady, with that Athenian look that answers terror with stillness. Or they may be quick with a purely infatuate being. Almost always the eyes hold on to an image of someone recently departed, or gone a long time ago, or only expected. The eyes are not lucky. They seem to be hopelessly inclined to linger. They make additions that come to no final sum. It is really hard to say if their dark is worse than their light. Their discovery is better or worse than not knowing. But they are last to go out. And their going out is always when they are lifted.